Om Nilambujasyamalakomalangam Sita Samaropita Vamabhagam Panau Mahasayaka Charu Chapam Namami Ramam Raghuvanshanatham. Om. Adorations to Lord Rama, whose complexion is like a blue lotus, who is very tender and delightful in appearance. Sita is seated on his left side. He is carrying a powerful bow and arrow in his hands. It's invocation to Lord Rama, which I have explained before. And we are entering into the topic of today. It's Balakanda of Ramcharitmanas. And the verses leading to 26th Doha. The glory of divine name. That's the basic topic. Tulsi Ji is giving a prologue to his presentation of the Ramayana. And prologue is profound, talking about the power of divine name. First, Tulsi Ji said that the divine name Rama is greater than Saguna Brahman as well as Nirguna Brahman. Because with the help of Rama, the Japa of Rama, you can realize Brahman in all aspects. So it is an allegorical way of saying that name is greater. Because without the name you cannot have those experiences. This point I have already given to you, that when we talk about God in relation to your sadhana, meditation on God commences with first aspect of God, Saguna Sakara, God who has form and attributes. All this is, one knows they are not the exact reality, because God has not been photographed by a very clever technician. So you are adopting it as a symbol, symbolic. Even in that symbolism, there is profound wisdom. The human mind is influenced by name and form. That on that basis, mantra and yantra have developed. The importance of name has led to the development of mantra yoga. How different types of mantras influence your mind. And forms have led to yantras. So whether you have studied mantra or yantra, it is instinctive. Your mind is fascinated by certain sound at a certain time and is influenced by it. That's mantra aspect. And then you are influenced by the form. If you have several rooms in a house and you are given one particular room, you will enter into it and arrange the whole thing according to your liking. The previous one arranged it in a different way. Because every mind needs a different type of impact of form. So when mantra and yantra are put together, it's called tantra. Tantra is a profound term, which due to misunderstanding has become a common language. Whenever anybody does something amazing, say, "Kyon tantram karta hai?" Why do we do tantrams? So as I was explaining, Brahman, Saguna Sakara, he has a form and he has attributes. Attributes are all infinite compassion, infinite wisdom, infinite giver of infinite grace, boundless glory, boundless strength, boundless compassion, dispassion, so many. You have to turn to Sahasranam to go after those attributes. That's also the Hindu culture, that every god you worship has 1,000 names. And every god doesn't mean there are many gods. God is the God. But everyone is given an aspect of God as Ishta Mantra. So, having adopted that aspect, you view all other aspects of gods adoring the aspect you have chosen. This is a work of bhavana, feeling. And as I have simple way explained, that if suppose you are a famous person and you have so many pictures of different poses, and you have your children and your younger ones, they all are your fan. They pick up picture that each one likes. So all of them don't pick up the same pose of yours. And you are happy with that. Just to give you a crude illustration for understanding the point, that God must be viewed to have countless aspects. There's no limit. So you should not strain your mind. Did I make a mistake in counting his flowers? Or why should he have 4 heads or 4 arms when he can have more? So I'm just joking, but at the same time giving you an insight. The second type of God, the second stage as we advance, form moves away. It doesn't move away, it is there. But your understanding rises beyond form. And your mind goes after attributes of God. Even in human relations, if your mother has been in foreign land and now coming from the airport, you raise your head again and again like zebras. Or giraffes to see where your mother is. But once a mother has come before you, now you are not raising that head. You are communing in the sentiment level. So the form doesn't have so much to do with it. So similarly, in the practice of upasana, meditation, devotion, you begin with Saguna Sakara, God with name and form. Go to the second step, Saguna Nirakara, God with countless attributes, but no form. Don't worry about the form, just go after those attributes. Those attributes are profounder. They work upon your feelings. And then if you go to still higher level, then God is Nirguna Nirakara. God has no form, and all attributes are transcended. God is a mystic silence, where you don't even bring to your mind any statement, any word. Because when you bring words in your mind, you are not meditating in the profound way. Just like when you sleep, at that time in deep sleep state, you don't talk. But if you are not really sleeping and someone says, "Are you sleeping?" and say, "Yes." That means you are not sleeping. So, it is like sleep, a positive counterpart of sleep states. When you are entering into that, name and form all move away. You are entering into the heights of spiritual consciousness. And all this happens automatically. You don't force yourself, but this is like a tree growing. You don't force the tree. The tree grows. As you practice integral yoga in a proper way and live your daily life in a disciplined manner, then that's the way you ascend the ladder of meditation. That Brahman is known as Rama in Ramayana. In Bhagavad Purana and in the Gita, that Brahman is known as Krishna. Somewhere else, Brahman is known as Buddha. Somewhere else, Brahman is known as Jesus. So that you have to always understand. That Brahman has no name but can be worshipped in so many ways. So the glory of Naam, the divine name, the Japa you do, catches the Saguna aspect of God and you receive a special effect of it. It catches the Nirguna aspect. Saguna aspect gives you more practical details in your life. So you are suffering from a certain difficult situation, and Japa will reduce or work miracles, heal you of your sickness and so forth. That's the type of benefit. That again I'm talking on a very ordinary level. So this is, you are being introduced to higher aspect of Brahman. But as long as you are with lower aspect, the result is of practical nature. If you don't have money, you get money. If you are in some trouble, the trouble moves away. And so there are many illustrations of devotees who have been graced by God in an amazing way by the force of mantra. But then there is another level. When you are doing Saguna Nirakara, all the attributes of God is there and you don't need to have a form. The whole world is His form. And we are not looking at form. Your mind is focused on, say for example, happiness. God is bliss. We're not looking for a form. How does bliss look like? Does it look like a butterfly? God is supreme peace. God is boundless compassion. God is boundless generosity. God is righteousness, dispassion, viveka, discrimination. All these have no form, but they are close to your feeling. They have greater reality than things of form. Happiness, contentment, humility. These have no form. You can't give to a person, show me an ounce of humility. नारद जानेऊ नाम प्रतापु जग प्रिय हरि हरि हर प्रिय आपु नाम जगपत प्रभु कीन्ह प्रसादु भगत शिरोमणि भे प्रहलादु. Narada knew the glory of divine name. As a result of his love for divine name, he became beloved of God. The whole world loves God, but devotee develops a special personality. God loves him. The world loves God. That's the general reality. Try to think of, there are so many buckets of water. And in each bucket of water, there is a reflection of the sun. The sun loves all those reflections. No matter how the reflections may be distant, shaking, and yet it is related to the sun. So that's what we mean. God loves all. But in the case of a sage is that type of a bucket where the reflected sun has become in tune with the real sun. So even though the sun is shining equally on all buckets, there is some specialized connection with the devotee bucket. So it is simple way the Ramayana tells that the whole world turns to God, they love God. And it seems like God doesn't care. That's one of these sayings of Kabira. As a devotee, he goes after God, looking for God. That wherever he goes, God runs away from him. Kabira man nirmal bhayo, paache lage hari firay, kahat Kabir Kabir. As if God has, the moment the divine grace has dawned and mind has become pure, you don't have to go after God. God goes after. The table turns. Another great illustration of power of devotion, power of Japa, is brought out by the story of Prahlad. Prahlad's father, Hiranyakashipu, who was ignorance incarnate, wanted to destroy Prahlad, because Prahlad had become the symbol of bhakti, devotion to God. And ignorance doesn't like devotion. In a storyline, Hiranyakashipu wanted to give lessons to his son Prahlad that don't worship God, worship me. And subjected Prahlad to many tests, very severe tests. But each time Prahlad emerged safe and sound. He was thrown into the ocean, he didn't drown. He was run over by elephants, he didn't die. Hiranyakashipu's sister, Holika, held him in his arms and entered into fire. She was immune to fire. But table turned. She was burnt up. The sister of ignorance is vasana, subtle desires. Subtle desires don't burn up in the world. Rather, they feed the warmth and the heat of the world. But when bhakti vasana enters, when Prahlad enters, then Holika burns up. It is this point that has become of international fame. Holi hai. Whenever even students, when want to have vacation, they look for holy days. And Hindu celebration of Holi, when they They spray colors and show amazing enjoyment. And when a person is addressed with great reverence, His holiness, that holy speaks of the power of name. Dhruva sagalani japeu hari naam, payau achala anupam taun. Similar is the story of Dhruva. And in the beginning he started repeating Japa, repeating the divine name for worldly status. But as he advanced in his Japa, the story I have already related to you, so I'm not entering too much into it. When Lord Vishnu appeared before him, ask any boon. Having seen you, I need no more boon. I want communion with you. However, Dhruva was given a boon of a material nature. And that again relates to mythological stories. When you look at the pole star, all Hindu families, they point to the pole star and they start telling the story of Dhruva, how Dhruva has become the pole star. Because he was devoted to divine name. Sumiri pavan sut pavan namu, apane bas kari rakhe ramu. And Sri Hanuman, described as a monkey, that also is highly allegorical. Your mind is a monkey. When touched by God's love, monkey mind becomes Hanuman. The same mind touched by God will lead you to liberation. The greatest power that you can ever imagine. So mind blessed by Rama, mind that has been fascinated by divine name Rama, that was represented by Hanuman. And it is, Ramayana, Tulsi says, apne bas kari rakhe Ramu. Because of his devotion to Rama, he as if captured Rama. Rama is ready to do anything he wants. It's allegorical. The relationship with God is not like human relationship. It is talked about like God, like human, but ultimately, Lali mere lal ki, remember that statement. A devotee says that I go out to see the beauty of my beloved. And wherever I turn, I see that beloved. Lali dekhan main chali, main bhi ho gayi lal. So I myself became that. Apatu ajamilu gaj ganikau, bhaye mukut hari naam prabhau, kahan kahan lagi naam badai, Ramu na sakai naam gun gai. Low class, lowly born, Ajamil, Gaja, an elephant, Ganika, a prostitute. These are samples of degraded souls. And there are stories in the Puranas that when initiated into the divine name, each one attained enlightenment by the power of divine name. Ajamil was involved in doing all types of low-minded activities. But at the time of death, he began to utter the divine name, Rama, Rama. And at that time, Yamadutas had come, the messengers of Yama, to drag his soul to hell. But the moment he started uttering Rama, Rama, the divine forces emerged and drove those Yama's forces back. All these colorful stories, the idea is, no matter what you have been, your goal is that the last concern for your existence should be God. And that is expressed by your last thought. And last thought is not brought out by your conscious effort, because at the time of death you don't have conscious effort. But what you have done during life, the resultant of your impressions that bring out the divine name, if you have been again and again turning to God with great love, then even at the time of death, suddenly that memory, that japa, will emerge out of your tongue. And sometimes at the time of death, people don't say anything. But yet the statement is effective. The mind turns to Rama. Rama implies God, Rama, Krishna, whomsoever. I have also given you a humorous story of how a businessman wanted to have everything, the world and God all together. So he used his business skill and named his sons with divine name. Someone is called Govinda, another is known as Narayana, another is known as Krishna, another is known as Rama. All divine names. So that at the time of death, he will be calling out the name of one whom he loved. So at the time of death, all those dear relatives with divine names came around him. He looked at them and said, "Who is there at the shop?" The shop. And died. You cannot manipulate the spiritual process, the idea that without developing love of God, without doing japa with devotion, suddenly by accident, since the scriptures say the last name that determines where you are going. If name is uttered by your tongue, or if your last thought is with divine name, then you are going to heaven. Again, heaven itself means many things. You are going to be led to liberation. But that last thought doesn't come by accident. Last thought comes because you are daily practicing sadhana in an integral way. And similarly, there are stories where an elephant offered a flower, a lotus, and his foot was caught by a crocodile. And the moment he offered that with divine name, the divine discus comes and cuts the crocodile. Similarly, some degraded women, prostitutes, they also attained enlightenment by divine name. Such is the power of divine name that even if you were to ask Rama himself, please tell me the glory of your name, Rama will not be able to do that. Why? Because Rama means a source of infinity. If you want to ask a wave can give you an answer. If you ask the ocean to describe its glory, ocean will remain quiet. You have to figure that out, how it will be. In other words, the glories of divine name, they are all words. Words, no matter how wonderful they are, and you can bring out words that become like the whole ocean surging, and yet God is beyond. Just like the sun is always beyond all its illuminations. Illuminations bring out so much of the grandeur and glory of the sun. Even the sun cannot tell you how much of those glories are there. How can it tell you? It is itself glory of all glories. Namu Ram ko kalapataru kali kalyan nivasu jo sumirat bhayo bhangnate tulsi tulsi dasu. In Kali Yuga, the divine name is like kalpataru, wish-yielding tree, and is the abode of kalyan, means the absolute good, which relates to mukti, liberation. In other words, the name is the giver of bhoga and moksha. Bhoga, all the enjoyments you want in the world, and moksha, liberation. It is by the power of divine name that Tulsidas talks about himself, that this little Tulsidas, who was or who is like a marijuana plant, bhang, and by the power of the name, he turned into Tulsidas. Tulsi refers to holy basil. Bhang is marijuana. Marijuana has all negative associations. And holy basil has all positive associations. Without love of God, everyone is little, degraded in the category of marijuana. We are moving in the world like a drug addict. We are addicted to taking embodiment. You go on taking embodiment after embodiment because we are addicted. Addicted to the world process. Addicted to pleasure and pain, rise and fall, parting and meeting, birth and death. That's a big addiction. And that's a powerful marijuana. But with the divine name, with Japa enters your mind, you are no longer addicted to the world process. You become holy basil, Tulsi plant that has a story of its own, is a divine spirit that bows down to God. Tulsi represents divine feeling that bows down to God and brings about destruction of a demoniac person. Jalandhar is the name. That doesn't matter. Basic point is, bhang, that is an addicted mind. From that addiction, you develop bhavana, divine feeling. And that's a big change. And that change was brought about, Tulsidas says, because of Japa of Rama. Chahu jugatin kala tihu loka, bhaye naam japi jiva vishoka, Veda Puran Santa Matayehu, Sakala Sukrita Phalat Rama Sanehu, not only in Kali Yuga, in all the 4 yugas, and in all the 3 periods of time, the divine name is the bestower of highest good. It destroys grief. Every soul becomes griefless. Shokra, this is in a very condensed writing. The predicament of being embodied is the basis of sorrow. All miseries of the world are turned into one word, sorrow, shok. That's also in the Gita that has been pointed out. Ashochyananva shochastvam, Krishna says to Arjuna, when he begins the Gita in a serious way, he uses the word ashochya. O Arjuna, you are grieving over things not worth grieving for, or sorrowing over things not worth sorrowing for. And the Gita ends, Ma Shucha, not literally, that's where the Krishna's main teaching terminates. Ma Shucha, therefore don't grieve. So the entire Gita is summed up in one statement. You are grieving for things not grieving for, therefore don't grieve. Divine name, Japa, enables you to become griefless. Dhyana prathama juga makha vidhi jude tuje, dvapar parishto to shat prabhu puje, kali kevala malamula malina, papa payonidhi janamanamina. In Satya Yuga, people turn to God by dhyana. Dhyana is reflection and wisdom. In this context, dhyana refers to the highest practice. Vedanta terms it in nididhyasan. Let me explain to you. People are extremely confused when we talk about yugas. Your mind always turns to immense past and becomes interested in history. But it is here and now. When your mind is filled with sattva, you are in Satya Yuga. When rajas starts entering into your mind, it becomes Treta Yuga. So, for any normal human being, early in the morning you wake up with the sweet twitters of the birds, etc. Your mind is sattvic. You are in Satya Yuga. That you come back and after breakfast you start thinking of business. You enter into Dwapara Yuga. No, Treta Yuga. And then you enter into Dwapara Yuga. Little more Rajas and Tamas enter. That means your mind begins to move between Rajas, Tamas, Sattva, becomes distracted. And when Tamas dominates your mind, and you become exceedingly bored, tired, exhausted, Kali Yuga enters. For majority of people, Kali Yuga has become more predominant than other yugas. Try to figure that out. See, these 4 moods of your mind, they come to you every day. But of these 4, you are not sure of the Satya Yuga, the Dwapara Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga. But one thing you are sure, Kali Yuga. And the remedy for Kali Yuga is divine name, Ram, Ram, Ram. So instead of going after which yuga am I in, just go after Kali Yuga. And other spiritual movements will automatically emanate from your japa. Now here the description is Prathama Yuga, that's Satya Yuga, dhyana, meditation on Brahman, based on understanding. Makhabidhi Duje. In Treta Yuga, Yajna. Yajna relates to sublimating the negative in you into positive. You sacrifice anger, and there emerges love. Sacrifice pride, and there emerges humility. That's called yajna in a profound way. If you are working upon cultivating virtues and removing the vices from your personality, you are in Treta Yuga. And you are following this example of Rama, the embodiment of righteousness. And when it comes to another level, Dwapar Paritoshat Prabhu Puja, you are feeling predominant. Then you are coming to Dwapar, when you are not involved with thoughts, understanding, but sentiments, feelings. How to work with your feelings, turn those feelings towards God. Puja. So in all the yugas, there is a predominating spiritual practice. In Satya Yuga, wisdom-based dhyana. In Treta Yuga, yajna. In Dwapar Yuga, loving adoration to God. That's the story of Krishna and how divine love has been expressed through Krishna and the stories. Kali kevala malamula malina. But in Kali Yuga, none of the three is possible. You are being dragged by your karmas, facing challenging situations from one type to another. And yet, at that time, mind develops the idea, nothing can I do. I'm completely helpless. The remedy is still you can do. You can say Ram, 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 Ram. And become deeply involved of all the implications of japa. When divine name is uttered, why is divine name so important? R sound is the root letter of Manipur chakra, solar plexus. It is that mystic center that gives you vitality and energy for your body, and also energy behind karmas. So when that R sound is arousing Kundalini to pass through Manipur chakra. To give you in a simpler way, it is turning karma into karma yoga. And M resonates with the 1,000-petaled lotus, Sahasrara chakra. So the prominent centers of Kundalini, out of many centers, these two are the polarities, Manipur chakra and Sahasrara chakra. And both are enfolded by Rama. In other words, you are awakening Manipur chakra. Your Kriya Shakti is becoming purified. Karma becomes Karma Yoga. As Kundalini ascends through your heart, you develop Bhakti Yoga, devotion. and meditation. And when Kundalini has swept across the Sahasrara, the 1,000-petal lotus become filled with honey. These are all allegorical descriptions, full of ananda. Then ignorance is removed. Three great impediments exist in every human being. For attaining enlightenment, three impediments have to be removed: karma, vasana, and avidya. Another way of saying is called mala, vikshepa, and avarana. Mala, gross impurities; vikshepa, distractions; avarana, veiling. And Ram removes all the three by its root letter, like a divine potency. It's like sometimes you take some medicines with great potency. It looks very simple, but it works profoundly. And when you take the medicine, you may adore the medicine while taking it. You may laugh at it while taking it. You may frown at it while taking it. As long as you take it, it's going to work. So therefore, sadhana of japa is so easy and so effective that it is applicable for all people, everywhere, at all times. Yet such simple method is not easily understood. Naam kam tarukala karala, sumirat saman sakala jagajala, Rama Naam kali abhimat data, hit paraloka loka pitumata. In this terrible world, when you are in Kali Yuga, you are facing a terrible world. Because when the mind is agitated, feeling degraded, then the mind becomes interested in all material things of the world that will feed the agitation. In simple words, when your mind is agitated, where do you find your entertainment? TVs. And what? There the news goes on breaking. And what type of news breaks? The ugliest of things. Most terrifying things. There is no harm in seeing that. But mind should not depend upon that type of entertainment. It should be kind of something else. You may study the nature of the world, it can develop vairagya. In Kali Yuga, divine name is Kalpavriksha, the wish-yielding tree. Whatsoever is your desire for material gain, desire for being free of a disease, desire for being healed, or whatsoever is your desire for bhakti or mukti, Naam Japa will give you. It is a wish-yielding tree. It is a promoter of Paralok, the other world. Other world means heavenly world, liberation, and the promoter of this world. You will live in this world with deeper fulfillment. You live in this world, enriching yourself in a spiritual way, so that you don't have to come back into the world again. And with this I'm going to conclude. Om Shri Ramaya Namah, Om Shri Ramaya Namah, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.